Tech Groundbreakers virtual tour by Apaco UC. This year, our event will be the biggest one ever done with 174 sessions, including normal sessions, workshops, and hands-on labs from 123 different speakers over 11 days. Also, it will cover sessions in four different languages. Please remember to register to as many sessions you can, and all sessions will be available to replay as many times as you want for 2 weeks after the initial session date and time. You can also interact with the speaker at any time during that 2 weeks by posting questions or comments directly in the playback session page. I would like to say thanks to our Oracle user groups and Java user groups that made this event possible, and also to our sponsors, Oracle Groundbreakers and CloudDB. Now for today's session, Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, Introduction and Key Concepts for DBAs by Marcos Vinicius, Miguel, Pedro. Please feel free to write questions at any time during the session by using the Q&A option at the Zoom webinar, and Marcos Vinicius will be answering them at the end of the session. If any issues during the presentation, please feel free to contact me at any time as the moderator by using the chat option in the Zoom webinar. Basically, use the Q&A option to write questions to the speaker, and Marcos will be answering our questions at the end of the session, or use the chat option to interact with the moderator for any issues. Now, without any more delays, I would like to leave you with this amazing session by Marcos Vinicius Miguel Pedro. Marcos, I am stop sharing my screen, and you can start now sharing and start your presentation. I will put myself in mute.
Okay, Francisco, thank you for introducing me. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, I'm able to see your screen and hear you perfectly.
Okay, thank you, Francisco. So as Francisco said, in this session, I will talk about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure for Oracle DBAs, Introduction and Key Concepts. First of all, thank you, Francisco, and thank you, Apaco OC, for this opportunity to speak to you guys at this such an amazing event. So, a quick review about me. My name is Marcos Vinicius. I maintain our Oracle blog. I'm from Brazil. I'm based in Vinhedo, São Paulo. I am working with IT industry for the last 24 years and with Oracle database for the last 15 years. I'm board member for Brazilian Oracle user group since 2010, and also a speaker in some events about Oracle, Oracle Open World Latin America, Oracle Open World San Francisco, Brazilian Oracle users group, and some colleges in Brazil. I was technical reviewer for our Oracle Press book about database 12c, ARMA backup and recovery. I worked for 9 years at Discover Technology, a partner in Brazil. Then I joined Oracle, working for ACS from 2014 until 2018. And then on June 2018, I joined Tech. I also Oracle Ace. I have some certifications. The green ones are the cloud certifications. I like to play that, well, Alex Zabala is like a Bitcoin in terms of certification. So I have around 0.20 Alex Zabala in terms of certification. As I said, I'm working for Tech. Tech is a group that is part of Accenture since 2014. At Tech, we are in 13 Oracle members. We are a diamond partner for Oracle. Our expertise was with Exadata, and for the last years, Oracle Cloud and also database. Oracle's program is a program that recognizes and rewards members from communities that share and made some contributions to Oracle community. So, for example, if you know someone that maintain a blog or speak in some events, you can nominate this person to Oracle Ace. The Oracle Ace program will evaluate the nomination and then this person maybe can be accepted to be part of this program. So this is the agenda for today. Let's talk about Oracle Cloud Infrastructure, just a few concepts before we talk about database and OCI. So OCI is the Oracle Cloud Infrastructure or Oracle Cloud product from Oracle. In OCI, we have the compartments that works as a logical workspace. So when we create our resources, our instances, and these instance names is not database instances, but machines, servers, our VCNs, our block volumes, all our database, of course. All cloud resources will be created into a compartment. The compartments, you can grant privileges to access resources into compartments. If you are part of group, you can access a compartment. I mean, let's compare this with database. In database, we have the users and we have the roles. So working with Oracle Cloud, you have access to compartments if you are part of a role and not a direct user. So if you have your user, for example, Marcos, my user cannot access any resource on Oracle Cloud. At least I'm part of a group, and of course, this group has some policy to access cloud resources. So when you create your cloud account, your tenants, Oracle Cloud will create for you the root compartment. This will be your first compartment. There is a best practice to avoid to create resources into root compartment. Why? Because when you have your compartments, you can organize and isolate your compartments in terms of environments and also the resource type. For example, I can create a compartment for databases on prod. And also I can create a compartment for networks on prod. Or I can create a compartment with networks, database, and servers on prod. So it depends of the cloud administrator how this person will organize and isolate the cloud resources. On our cloud, we have the regions, and the regions are localized at the geographic area. So we can use regions to achieve disaster recovery. So I can have one server, one application server in one region, and another application server in a second region. We also have the availability domain in the Oracle Cloud. And the AD, availability domain, is one or more data center located within a region. But even that we have more than one AD in a region, it's important to say that each AD is isolated from each other. So each AD works as a data center. So we can have up to 3 ADs in a region, but all 3 ADs will be interconnected in a low latency network and high speed. But even that those ADs are interconnected, they are isolated physically. So you can achieve high availability, spreading your resources into more than one AD. In OCI, we have the instance. Instance is a compute host. Again, it's not a database instance, it's a compute host. Can be a virtual machine or a bare metal machine. We have also the shapes. Shapes specify the size of our instance. So the shape specifies the number of CPUs and amount of memory. When OCI was launched some years ago, the shape are limited to a number of CPUs and memory. For example, we have one shape with 1 CPU and 7 gigs of memory. Another shape has 2 CPUs and 14 gigs of memory. Since last year, we have the flexible shapes. The flexible shapes allow us to customize the number of CPUs and also amount of memory. So you don't need to use a shape, for example, with a large number of CPUs just to achieve a large amount of memory. In the past, to achieve, for example, 48 gigs of memory, you need to use a lot of CPUs. And on cloud, you pay for that. Now you can use a flexible shape, then you can use just a few CPUs, and then you can increase your memory as you need. On OCI, we have the block volumes. Block volumes works as a virtual disk, and those block volumes are attached to instances. We have the object storage that is a bucket to store files, and all cloud resources on OCI has an OCID. OCID is Oracle assigned unique ID. So each cloud resource has an OCID. An OCID works as a primary key for each resource. Inside your region, as I said, we have the availability domains, but also we have the fault domains. Fault domains are physical racks into one AD. So you can have up to 3 FDs into one AD. So you can use, sorry, I made a mistake. Each AD is isolated from each other, but each FD are interconnected in the same AD. And of course, each AD have low latency and high speed network between those ADs to achieve high availability. Some ADs around the world have only one, some regions around the world have only one AD. And why we have some regions with only one AD? Because Oracle has a goal to achieve and increase the global reach quickly. And because of that, some regions was launched with only one AD, but for those regions, Oracle will deploy a second AD or another region in the same area within a year. So just an example, if a region was launched on October 2019 with only one region, Oracle will launch another region or another AD in the same area up to October 2020. This is the global footprint for OCI last month. So we have here the commercial data centers. The blue ones are the government data center, and those colored flags are data centers that are interconnected with Azure. So for some clients would like to host their Windows application servers on Azure and their Oracle databases on OCI. So for those regions, the client can store and use Windows servers on Azure and databases on OCI with interconnect between Azure and OCI. So let's talk about database and cloud. Will the big jobs be dead? In my opinion, no, I don't believe that. Why I don't believe that? Let's talk about that. Well, back to 2003, Oracle released to the version 10G for database. And this white paper is still available at this link, the self-managed database. So 15 years after this database launch, Oracle launched Autonomous Database on 2018. And see this phrase, world first self-driving database. So, well, self-managing, self-drive, 15 years later, and Oracle is still using the same speech, right? What is an autonomous database? Autonomous database is a database that is running on Oracle Cloud with some data center operations and machine learning algorithms. Autonomous started working with Oracle 18C. Now Autonomous is working on 19C. And also Autonomous uses a complete infrastructure automation. So all Autonomous databases are using Exadata on cloud. So Autonomous is a version, is a specific version for database? No. Autonomous database is a special version? No. Autonomous database is the database that we know, but with some automation behind that. So as DBAs, we don't have much control about patching, about cell patching, infinite band patching, OS patching. We can control some backup operations, some restore operations, but we don't have access to the prompt, for example. So autonomous database works as a database as a service. So will DBA jobs be dead? Some in this list we have some automatic features that Oracle launched since the early versions for database. For example, on 9i, version 9, Oracle launched automatic undo management. Before that, as a DBA, you need to control your rollback segments. On 9 also launched cost-based optimizer. On 10G, ASM, and so forth. So this is a list of resources implemented by version. As I said, automatic undo management, ASM, and so on. But when we are talking about cloud, we need to talk about job transformation for DBA. So with cloud age, what DBA must learn? The DBA not only must learn about database with cloud. The DBA also must learn about infrastructure, security, network, cloud features, infrastructure as code, for example, Terraform, DevOps tools, Ansible, Puppet, Git, and also design and development for applications. So this is an example. As a DBA, you must know about that if you are thinking to work with cloud. This is an architecture for application on Oracle Cloud. This is the database. Okay, those are the regions interconnected. This is the internet. This is the route tables. So as a DBA, you need to learn about that. Also about Terraform, you need to know how you can create resources using code. This is infrastructure as code. Now, also, you need to learn Ansible. And why you need to learn Ansible? Because let's suppose that you are in a client that have more than 100 databases. And this client would like to patch all databases together to reduce downtime. So we are talking about 100 databases. Well, if you are the only DBA managing this patching activity, you are not able to apply patch in 100 databases at the same time. But if you use Ansible, yes, you can do that. You can configure your Ansible, you can create your playbooks to apply the patch in more than one database if you want to. So, well, I am DBA working with Oracle database for the last 15 years, and I want to work only with database. Is it possible? Sure, you can work with you want, but you need to open your mind. With Oracle Cloud, you need to learn new stuff. For example, without cloud age, without cloud, if you are thinking to install and create an Oracle Rack database, you need to install rich infrastructure, install database, and so on. With Oracle Cloud, you can provision your rack with only just a few clicks. So it's very simple to deploy databases on the cloud. So as a DBA, your duty working with cloud, with database on cloud, is not to install the products anymore, but is to manage, to administer the database. So let's talk about database offers on OCI. We have some offers on OCI. We have bare metal DB systems, virtual machines DB systems, and next data DB systems. Also, we have the autonomous databases offers. I will not cover about that in this session, okay? So you can provision your database on cloud using bare metal machines or virtual machines or Exadata machines. The Exadata machines running on OCI, we call it this type of database, Exadata Cloud Service. So about the licensing models, we have two types of license. The first one is this license included. So you have your cloud subscription with some credits. Then you can create your databases, and your databases provision will consume the credits from your subscription. But if you have the license for your on-premise database, you can talk with your Oracle sales representative to migrate your database to cloud, and then you can use the same license to work on cloud. Oracle will change your license to work on cloud, so you can use your license that you have today. Database editions on cloud, we have 4 editions. First one is the standard edition, then enterprise edition, then enterprise high performance, then extreme performance. The difference about that between them, the standard edition is the standard edition 2 that we know, up to 24 CPUs, but with 1 plus here. Starting with standard edition on cloud, database have transparent data encryption. This is because all databases on cloud must be encrypted for security reasons, right? The enterprise edition is a database with enterprise edition that we know with some options available. Data match and subsetting, diagnostics into NPAC, reapplication testing, and of course, TDE. The high performance also have multi-tenant, partition, advanced compression, and other options in TDE. And the extreme performance have in-memory, active data guard, and rack, okay? The versions supported on cloud are 11.2, 2.1, 2.2, 18, and 19. So this is an overview about cloud offers on Oracle Cloud. You can, for example, use provisioning your database with VMs, and with VMs you can use the database with rack. You can provision a database on bare metal, and you don't have rack available there. And of course, you can provision a database with Exadata, and you can have up to 8 nodes on your rack. All database offers, you can achieve disaster recovery using data guard across ADs and or across regions. The patching is controlled by user. If virtual machine, you can have only 1 CDB per DB system, but you can create more than 1 PDB in the CDB. And with bare metal, you can have multiple CDBs inside the same machine. So some key use case for virtual machines, third-party applications, Oracle applications, disaster recovery, and application development. The same use case for bare metal. And when we are talking about Exadata, we can use for mission-critical databases, consolidation, analytics, and so on. The Exadata Cloud Service have the same features that we have on Exadata on-premise. You don't have any difference here. The difference is with Exadata Cloud Services, you cannot patch switch InfiniBand, DB nodes, and also the self-service, but you can patch your glitch infrastructure and your database. So the question is, should I move to cloud? This is a question that we are common listen from your clients. Should I move to cloud? Well, the answer is very simple. It depends, because when you are talking about migrating your database to cloud, you need to think about your application ecosystem. So your application ecosystem will also be moved to cloud, because if you don't move your application to cloud, let's suppose that you keep your application on your on-premise data center and then your database on cloud, you must consider about the traffic between database and application. If you have database on cloud And if you have your application on your on-premise, maybe the latency, the network latency between them will be big, and then the response time will increase. So sometimes this is not feasible. So let's talk about sizing. Should I provision my resources using the same sizing that I have on premise? Well, again, it depends. Why? We have some questions for that. Actually, you have weights for CPU on your on-premise database. If you have weights, how long are the weights? Those weights are impacting your business now. If yes, well, maybe your CPU is under pressure, actually. If no, you have some spikes. So in this example, let's assume that we have only spikes on CPU, okay? So when we are talking about migrate to cloud and sizing our environment to cloud, we need to think, how much pain are you willing to tolerate? Okay, so let's suppose that you answer to me, Marcos, I cannot have any pain. I cannot have any weight about CPU. Okay, so if your on-premise environment today does not have weights on CPU, so the answer is simple. You need to provision your database on cloud with the same sizing that you have on your on-premise. But you need to think that if you do that, well, let's suppose that your environment is running with using 70% of CPU and 30% is idle all the time. On cloud, you pay for CPUs that you allocate for your machine. So if you have CPU idle, if you have 30% idle, you pay for that on cloud. So maybe you answer me, some pain is tolerated. Okay, so how we can measure the CPU usage? If you have diagnostic pack, you can use the ASH using this view. And if you don't have, well, you need to use StatsPack and also some external monitoring tool. With ASH, you need to query your sessions with session state equal on CPU. But on ASH, our main issue is ASH is sample only when there is some activity. So on idle times, ASH will not collect anything, will not sample, because ASH means active session history and not inactive session history. So sometimes ASH will not generate any samples. And if you are thinking to sizing your environment, you need to standardize your ASH data. Jorge Barba from Tech has a great series of blog posts on how to standardize your ASH for sizing. This is a screenshot from his blog. So with ASH standardized, we have a question. Should I use the max values? Well, you can use if you cannot tolerate any pain. Can I use the average? And the answer is no, because with average, you can lose some spikes, because average means the average in mathematics. So the spikes will be ignored about that. So what is the magic number? You can use percentiles. With percentiles, you can say what is the pain tolerated on your environment. So let's suppose that you are planning to use 19%, 97 percentile. Well, your longest wait will be 1.8 minutes in 60 minutes. And this 1.8 minutes can be together, directly, or can be a lot of samples that when you sum all of them, your longest wait will be 1.8 minutes. And of course, lower the percentile, longest will be the wait. So this is the pain. So the question is, how is the appropriate percentile for my database workload? And again, how much pain are we willing to tolerate? Because if you say I don't want to tolerate any pain, so you need to use 100% for percentile. If you tell to me, okay, I can wait up to 2 minutes in 1 hour, so you can go to this percentile. Okay. About memory, it should be the same. About IOPS, you can use AWR to get those two metrics, and for IO throughput, now also you can use AWR using two metrics. Okay. We have a tool. I will develop this tool, MiG360. This tool is great and very useful because, well, with this tool, you can have your database configuration, patch info, memory usage, storage usage, CPU usage, and also your desktop consumers. So this is the screenshot for this tool. This tool is free. You can download using this link. And this tool can help you to plan your migration to cloud. So what are the database migration methods to cloud? In this session, I will not show any live demo, okay? We will only discuss about the methods. So on OCI documentation, we have this page with some methods available. And what is the best method? Well, it depends of a lot of questions. What is your on-premise database version? For which database version are you planning to move to cloud? What is your operating system on-premise? What is your character set on your on-premise? How many data, how many index you have? What are the data types used? What is your network bandwidth? And of course, what is your outage acceptable? So depending of these questions, you can choose the best option for you. Oracle have this site to help you to choose the best methods. And again, to choose your method, you need to answer, what is your on-premise database version? If your database is running on 12c, well, you can be running using CDB or no CDB. If your on-premise uses AIX operating system, IBM AIX, you need to know that the AIX uses Big Endian, and all databases on OCI use the Linux platform. So Linux uses Little Endian. So for example, if you have Big Endian and Little Endian, you cannot use DataGuard, because for DataGuard, you can use only the databases with the same Endian format. And of course, if you have character set different, some methods are not compatible. On cloud, if you are thinking to use multi-tenant, you need to choose high performance or extreme performance editions. And of course, this you pay a little bit more for that. So if you have your database on premise running on 11G, and if you are planning to move to 11G cloud, those are the methods available for you. If you have your database running on 11G and you are planning to move to 12C cloud, you have the same options that you have for 11G to 11G, and also you have data pump full transportable. If you have a database 12C non-CDB to 12C on cloud, you have also ARMA, unplug, remote cloning, and also SQL developer methods. If you have your 12C CDB and you are planning to move to 12C on cloud, you also can use ARMA cross-platform transporter PDB. So this is an overview about the methods. So if you are planning to use data pump, you can go to any you can have any format for any format, and also any character set. And if you are thinking to work with data pump, you can start from 11.2.03. If you are thinking about unplug, your database on premise needs to run on Little Endian, and so on. If you're thinking to DataGuard, Golden Gate, and so on. So the big challenge when you are planning to move to our database to cloud is about downtime. What is downtime allowing to move our database to cloud? And again, this answer doesn't matter if you're thinking to migrate to cloud or not. Even on your on-premise environment, this question is very important. What is your downtime? But on cloud, we have one more very important variable to consider here. How long does it take to upload your database to cloud? And this depends of your network bandwidth. So if you have a database with 200 terabytes, and if you are running with a link with 2 gigs, the upload for database will take 20 days. And sometimes this is not acceptable. So Oracle has a service, a data transfer service. This is 1 week to have your data on cloud. And data transfer is not like this, but you can use a data transfer appliance. Data transfer appliance looks like this. What is a data transfer appliance? This appliance, with this appliance, you can upload up to 150 terabytes per appliance, and each file can have up to 10 terabytes. The shipping is free. You pay only for the data that Oracle you upload to the bucket. All the data are encrypted. Unfortunately, only some regions in the world have this service available. So, Marcus, the question is, I don't have my region I don't have the service running in my region. How can I upload my database, my large database to cloud? You can use the data transfer service with data transfer disk. With disk, you can use hard drives that you have on your data center to upload to your database to these disks. Then you can ship your disks to Oracle. Oracle will receive your disks. Then we will upload the data to your bucket. Okay. With this, you are limited with only 100 terabytes per transfer package. Each transfer package, you can have up to 5 disks, but you can create a lot of packages together to send how many disks and how many data you need to do. We also have on OCI the zero downtime migration. ZDM is a very, very awesome feature and awesome tool because this is a single button approach. It's fully MAA compliant. ZDM will use Oracle Data Guard to automate your migration to cloud. So the ZDM is a tool that have 5-step process. We'll analyze your source database and your target database. We prepare both database. We migrate your data to cloud. We monitor your database, and then you can execute a switchover, a controller switchover with ZDM. If you are thinking to use data pump, there are some considerations. You can also create a DB system on cloud. DB system is a virtual machine or a bare metal machine that run your database. You can create a DB system using a backup that you created on your on-premise environment. This is an example. Those are the links, and this is an example how we can do that. You can use the database backup cloud model to migrate your database to cloud. You can use Golden Gate. You can use DataGuard to provide minimum downtime migration. You can use transportable tape space. With this, you can move your database across India. You can use unplug and plug. You can use remote cloning. you can use SQL Developer. So what are the items to concern when we are planning to move to cloud? Well, first of all, is the sizing, because if you provision your database with a lot of CPUs, you pay for that. Second item is the cloud architecture. This is the step that you need to spend more time, because with cloud architecture, with a well-designed cloud architecture, you can think about the high availability, about DR, and also where your application service will be located. What are the security lists? What are the firewall rules? And of course, you need to think about connectivity, because if your database is exposed on a public subnet, your database can be accessed using internet. So if you are thinking to not expose your database to internet, you need to use a private subnet. And of course, you need to think how your users will access your database. One important thing is that not all methods are applicable to all versions of the platform. For example, if you're running your 10G, your best approach to move to cloud is Golden Gate to achieve minimal time. With DataPump, you can expect a big outage depending on your database size. But you can combine both methods. For example, you can use your DataPump for your initial load, then you can use Golden Gate to sync database. If you are running databases lower than 11.203, your best approach is to upgrade your databases on premise to 11.204, then you can use DataGuard. If you are using IBM iX, you need to convert your data file to Little Indian. So the options are many. You must spend some time to study the pros and cons for each method before you choose the final method. So just a recap. If you are a DBA and if you are thinking to work with cloud, you need to know that the time that you will spend to work installing your environment will be reduced a lot, because with cloud, just a few clicks are enough to create your database. You don't need to spend time with patching, because on cloud, you can patch your database with just a single click on Cloud Console. Even about backup and restore, just a small number of clicks and you can backup and you can restore the database. So with this, you can spend your time to work with the application team, to work to plan how to achieve high availability, how to achieve DR, and how to spread your database in more than one region. So with cloud, the method that DBAs works will change. And so the question is, are you guys ready to this change? So if you have any questions, please let me know. I also will upload this presentation to Francisco, to Apache OC, to be available for you guys. You can also reach out to me anytime, and it will be a pleasure to answer your questions if you have some. And thank you again, Francisco.
Thank you so much, Marcos Vinicius. I cannot see any questions coming from Q&A until now. But again, this session will be available for replay for 2 weeks in the conference site. And it will have a dedicated replay page where anyone watching the session can also post questions or comments. And then you, Marcos, will be notified when a question or comment is placed, and you can reply at your earliest convenience.
Thank you, Francisco.
Okay, you got a couple of congratulations. Very good presentation and helpful. Congrats, Vinny, and things like that. All right, looks like we have no questions. And Marcos, I leave you for a good night in Brazil. Toma uma cervejinha e uma boas batatinhas have a wonderful evening over there. And please, everyone watching this session, please also be careful. Hopefully you and your family are safe, and you too, Marcus.
Thank you, Francisco. I wish you all the best. And for this event, congratulations. It was amazing, awesome event. Thank you. Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Cheers. Bye, everyone.